lesson time. Yes, that happy time has come to your life. Oh, one more time. Module 6, Lesson 11. This is the big one I've been warning you about. Okay, it's not that it's like, oh, it's so hard or anything, but this is one where we start to put together a whole lot of things. In fact, everything we've done so far in decimals and a lot of things that we're drawing on from fractions, it all comes to a point here in this lesson 11. What exactly we'll be doing? Oh, well, that looks nice. Sometimes these are really long objectives, but we're just going to compare and order mixed numbers. Oh, well, that's easy. Huh. Oh, in various forms? In various forms. Yeah, that's where those innocent words there, in various forms, that's where it gets a little interesting. Oh, it's like those the jelly beans, right? Where they have like the popcorn and the cotton candy flavor, and then they have like the vomit flavor. That's kind of like this lesson. Oh, poor us. No, we will soldier on. Let's do it. Here's a little warm-up. We're going to do some simple expanded form. Let's take this 6 and 13 hundredths, and let's write it out in that simple expanded form, which means without the multiplication. So we have 6, right? Okay, and then what do we have here going on with the fraction? We have 13 hundredths. Well, we can decompose that, right? We have tenths and hundredths. So how many tenths? 1/10, and then 3 hundredths, okay? And now in decimal expanded form, 6 and 13 hundredths again. 6, that stays the same. And watch this. We have a 1 in the tenths place, so 1/10. 3 in the hundredths place, so 3 hundredths. And notice, you would read these the same. If you had your eyes closed and you just read these, you wouldn't know if you were reading the decimal or the fraction version. Amazing. Let's do it again with this number, 54 and 73 hundredths. Okay, so expanded, that simple expanded form, fraction form without multiplication. So we start here. The tendency here is to just say 54, but we know we have to take out those tens first. So 50 and 4. Then we come here to the fraction. We have 7 what? 7 tenths. We could call it 70 hundredths, but it is 7 tenths. And then we have 3 hundredths. Great. And in decimal expanded form, same thing. 50 plus 4 plus 7 in the tenths place, 3 in the hundredths place. There we go. All right, how about this bad boy? Ooh! Yeah. So what do we do with zeros in expanded form? Yeah, we just don't do them, so to speak. There's no point in putting in, say, plus 0. It doesn't really add anything to life now, does it? So we have 90 will be our first term here, right? 90, just plain old 90, because that's what it is. A 9 in the tenths place, and there are no 1s, so we just bypass that, we omit it. And then we have 9 hundredths. Yeah, so it's 9 hundredths. Ah! that one's like so simple, it's difficult, isn't it? And then same thing here in decimal form. We have 90 and 9 hundredths. Beauteous. All right. Now we're going to write this decimal as a mixed number. So it's 9 and 4 tenths. And that tells you how to write the mixed number. 9 and 4 tenths. Now how about as an improper fraction? Well, remember, the 9 here is 90 tenths, plus the 4 tenths already present, 94 tenths. Now to take that all into hundredths, times 10 tenths. This sounding familiar? Good. Times 10 tenths would be 940, right? Hundredths, 940 hundredths. All right, let's do another one like that, but a little faster. Let's write this as a mixed number. It is 12 and 3 tenths. There's the mixed number, 12 and 3 tenths. Improper fraction. What's that going to look like? Yeah, so the 12 is 120 tenths with the 3 tenths, so 123 tenths. And this is one where it starts to get a little top heavy, and it looks like it might be wrong, but it actually is right, because times 10 tenths here, all right, we're Our little shortcut there is to pop on that 0 because we're riding the time temp slide. So 1,230 hundredths. All right, let's look at this one. 4 and 27 hundredths. That's how we'd write the mixed number. 4 and 27 hundredths. Now, why am I not doing this in tenths? Because it's already in hundredths. Ah, okay, so this 4 would be 400 hundredths with the 27, so 427 hundredths. See, so we're not doing tenth there because it's already in hundredths, and I could explain that further, but I think that's good for now. All right, 53 and 8 tenths. All right, so that's our mixed number form, 53 and 8 tenths. That's why I've always stressed just reading those decimals correctly, and that tells you how to put it into mixed number fractional form. Now we're going to go to as an improper fraction. So 53 is how many tenths? 530 tenths. With the 8 tenths already there, 538 tenths. Now we can go out to hundredths. That's right, and this is one where it definitely looks kind of top heavy, so 5,380 hundredths. Woo! So in other words, this is saying, this interesting little thing here, if you had $53.80 and you went to the bank and said, I like this in pennies, please, you would have 5,380 pennies and a very hard time lugging that mess out of the bank, and some very disconcerted bank tellers to boot. All right, now let's do a quick review of comparing decimals. Just greater than, less than, equal to. 2 and 5 tenths compared to 2 and 50 hundredths. Okay, well we know if, yes, if we had a 0 here, it would be 2 and 50 hundredths on both sides. They are equals. There it is, our beautiful equality. All right, 6 and 74 hundredths. 6 and 7 tenths. Okay, again, so think of it as we can just place the 0 here, or you could think of it as if this were a mixed number times 10 tenths, putting it into hundredths. So with the 0 here, then you can clearly see 6 and 74 hundredths is greater than 6 and 70 hundredths. All right, and think of it in terms of money as well. 4 and 16 hundredths, 4 and 61 hundredths. I think that one might just jump out at you, right? That 61 hundredths is more than 16 hundredths. So this would be less than. 4 and 16 hundredths is less than 4 and 61 hundredths. How about here? 3 and 89 hundredths compared to 3 and 9 tenths. Now what would be the mistake to make here? Just to say, well, 89 is more than 9, so this is greater than. Done. But watch what happens. When we place that 0 there to express this in hundredths, oh yes, then it's 3 and 89 hundredths compared to 3 and 90 hundredths. And in my alphabet of numerical blah, 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 90 is more than 89, right? So 3 and 89 hundredths is less than 3 and 9 tenths. A few more here. 8 and 64 hundredths compared to 8 and 46 hundredths. And they're just scrambling up the digits here to make sure you're paying attention. 64 hundredths is more than 46 hundredths. So this is indeed greater than. 10 and 4 hundredths. 10 and 4 tenths. Okay, well, a couple ways you can look at this in terms of money. 4 pennies versus 4 dimes. I think we know what's there. We can express this in hundredths with the 0 there. Woo! And so 40 hundredths is more than 4 hundredths, right? So 10 and 4 hundredths is less than 10 and 4 tenths. 13 and 28 hundredths compared to 13 and 8 tenths. All right, express it in hundredths, right? With the 0 there. 28 hundredths is less than 80 hundredths. And this would be also one where if you made the mistake of saying 28 is more than 8, that's not what the value of these numbers are. All right. While sewing, let's get into a little bit of a question here. Kikanza cut 3 strips, 1, 2, 3, of colored fabric. A yellow 2 8/10 foot strip, an orange 2 8/100 foot strip, and a red 2 25/100 foot strip. Okay. So we see, it's always good to pause on these and just assess what you have. This one's in tenths, this is in hundredths, this is in hundredths, okay. And they all start with 2, that's good. So really we're just looking at what comes after the decimal point. In fact, let's take a moment here and express this in terms of hundredths. It would be 2 80 hundredths, 2 8 hundredths, 2 25 hundredths. Okay. Now let's read on. She put the shortest strip away in a drawer and placed the other 2 strips side by side on the table. So let's draw a tape diagram comparing the lengths of the strips on the table and determine which measurement is longer. Okay, so now, when I go to draw though, I am not going to draw the orange strip. Why? All right, she put it in the drawer. It's gone, it's off the table. So the orange strip is 2 8 hundredths, which is less than 25 hundredths, and 80 hundredths, which we just determined. And so that's the one that goes into the drawer, the orange one. So we just are drawing the yellow and the red ones. And let's make it pretty, why don't we? Okay, so yellow is 2 8/10 feet. Red, 2 25 hundredths feet. And we know that this one is longer. In fact, these numbers should look a little familiar to you. Because this is 2 80 hundredths. Okay, so simple question is, yeah, which measurement is longer? Oh gosh, I just said it. Yes, the yellow one. The 2 80 hundredths is more than 2 25 hundredths, so you just need a simple statement saying 2 8/10 feet is longer than 2 25 hundredths feet. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Moving on. Now we are finally getting into the meat and potatoes of the lesson here. All right? Breathe. Don't be afraid. All right, well, maybe just a little. All right, I can arrange mixed numbers, fractions, and decimals on a number line. You can. Watch, like this. All right. Oh, hey, whoa, whoa, what is this? Oh, okay, so look. We have a bunch of numbers here. 13 hundredths, 17 hundredths, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 34 hundredths, 4 tenths. And this is what I had warned you of several lessons. Look, we have one that's fraction tenths, fraction hundredths, unit form, decimal tenths, decimal hundredths, unit form, and hundredths. So every single one of these is expressed in a slightly different way. Okay, so in order to put these in order, to compare them, it's very helpful to put them all into the same terms. So let's put them all, I decided, because I did, to put them all in decimal form to the hundredth place. So that way they're all in one same form and we can look at them. And also we're familiar with decimal form to the hundredth place because hundredth is cents. That's right, so it's going to look like money. Okay, so 13 hundredths, writing that as a decimal. 13 hundredths. 17 hundredths is already in decimal form to the hundredths place. This is 2 tenths. How do I make it look all decimal-like out to the hundredths? That's right. Just express it as hundredths as 20 hundredths. 3 tenths would be 30 hundredths. There it is in decimal form. This one should be pretty straightforward to you to put this in decimal form. 34 hundredths as a decimal. You write 34 hundredths. 4 tenths is how many hundredths? 40 hundredths. And look at that. I saved us some time because they're already in order from least to greatest. 13 hundredths, 17 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 34 hundredths, 40 hundredths. Thanks. You're welcome. All right, here we go. This is what they'd look like on a number line. Take a look here. The number line is gradated from 1/10 2/10, 3/10, 4/10 in fractional form, okay? So in case you're wondering why those are there. And then there's the 1300ths, the 1700ths, the 2/10, 3/10, 3400ths, 4/10, also known, yes, as 40/100ths. Okay, so this is how they look on a number line. So we getting the idea here? All right. This is the kind of stuff I warned you about. Like, here's 5 numbers. This one's in decimals from to the hundredths, decimal form to the tenths, mixed number to the hundredths, improper fraction in tenths, improper fraction in hundredths. Okay, so let's take a minute and look at this one. Let me see. All right, so let's put them all in decimal hundredths form again, because I do find that personally an easier way to do things. This one, hey, it's already like that, 7 and 92 hundredths, right? What do we need to do here to express this as hundredths? All right, just add zeros. So instead of 8 and 1/10, it's 8 and 10 hundredths. 7 and 86 hundredths would be written the same way in decimal form, right? 7 and 86 hundredths. 79 tenths. Well, think about it. That is 7 and 9/10, isn't it? Yes, you see that? Because the 7 here, the 70 tenths, is equal to the whole number 7. That goes back to our fractional days. So 7 and 9/10, which would be written in decimal form as 7.9, take that out to hundredths would be 7.90. 7 and 90 hundredths. 802 hundredths. That might look a little daunting, but it's not so bad because same logic as we just did here. 800 hundredths is equal to the whole number 8, which leaves 2 hundredths. 8 and 2 hundredths in decimal form would be written as 8.02. 8 and 2 hundredths. So now, can we put these bad boys on the number line and put them in order? Well, let's put them in order. So the first one here, the smallest one, is 7 and 86 hundredths. What would come next? 7 and 90 hundredths, then 7 and 92 hundredths, and then, yes, 8 and 2 hundredths, and lastly, 8 and 10 hundredths. Okay, see, so that's how you can put them into order, and here is the ever-loving number line. Where would 7 and 86 hundredths go? Between which ones? Between 7 and 8/10 and 7 and 9/10, a little past the midpoint, right? Because 7.85, 7 and 85 hundredths would be the midpoint there. What would come next is the 7 and 90 hundredths, which is right there at the point of 7 and 9/10. 7 and 92 hundredths would go, right, just a smidgen past that, because that's 90 hundredths, 92 hundredths. 8 and 2 hundredths would go where? Well, again, imagine the zeros here. 8.00 and 8.10. 8 and 0 hundredths, 8 and 10 hundredths. 8 and 2 hundredths would go close down here. And then lastly, 8 and 10 hundredths would go smack dab on that point. Beautiful. So there is 7 and 86 hundredths, 7 and 90 hundredths, 7 and 92 hundredths, 8 and 2 hundredths, and lastly, 8 and 10 hundredths. All right, we see how it looks on a number line. And keep in mind, you will be doing this on your own shortly, so I hope you're getting this. If not, rewind. All right, now we're going to take some mixed numbers, fractions, and decimals and put them in order from greatest to least. Let's take a look here. Oh my goodness. Now, to do this without a number line, all right, we're just going to look at these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers and find a way to put them in order from greatest to least. I find a good way to approach this is to kind of take a step back and just think about it for a moment. Okay? You see some things right off? I think you've been doing this long enough that you're going to notice probably right away that 18 hundredths would be 18 cents, and that's going to be our smallest one, isn't it? It is, okay. So, but we're going greatest to least, so which one would be the largest here? They're all 1 and something, right? Ah, you see that 9 there? Does that jump out at you? 1 and 90 hundredths it would be. So that would be our greatest. Ah, and then we can just kind of crawl backwards from there. 1 and 90 hundredths. What would come next coming down? 1 and 82 hundredths. And then which? 1 and 81 hundredths. We found that one easily. Next one might be a little tricky. Look over here at 18 tenths. Express it as hundredths. Ah, 180 hundredths. Does that make it clearer there? So this would be 1 and 80 hundredths. Taking another step back, it just leaves these two. Yeah, this was 18 cents, and this is $1.08, right, in money terms? So this would come next, 1 and 8 hundredths, and lastly, 18 hundredths. So here's what that looks like. 1 and 9 tenths is greater than 1 and 82 hundredths, which is greater than 1 and 81 hundredths, which is greater than 1 and 8 tenths, which is greater than 1 and 8 hundredths, which is greater than 18 hundredths. Well, how's that for you? That's as hard as it gets right there. That's the doobie. So now on this one, so we just did the hardest one, and this one we're just going to apply what we've learned to a word problem. So we have a triple jump contest. I don't know what that means. You jump 3 times, I guess. So we have Heijun. She jumped 8 and 76 meters. Marianne jumped 8 and 7/10 meters. Beth jumped 880 hundredths meters. Lily jumped 8 and 7/100 meters. In which place did each student rank? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm going to have you do on this one is, I'm not going to walk you through every last little step here because you have to draw the whole tape diagram, and you have to do the math and the conversions. So this would be where you pause the video and go ahead and do that work and then come back here to check it. So go ahead, pause. All right, so looking at this, 8 and 76 hundredths. Well, this is 8 and 7/10, which would be 8 and 70 hundredths. This would be 8 and 80 hundredths. And this is already in decimal form to the hundredths, 8 and 7 hundredths, and they're all meters. So keep in mind, in a jumping contest, the biggest number wins. Sometimes they trick you with questions about running because it's the shortest time that wins. In any case, so which one of these was the largest? 8 and 80 hundredths. Who came in next? 8 and 76 hundredths would come next. We said this was 8 and 70 hundredths, and then 8 and 7 hundredths. Here it is. Beth first, Heijun second, Marianne third, and Lily fourth. Excellent. And that brings you to the problem set. And here's what you're doing. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different terms here to place on this number line. Yeah. I warn you, this is one of those hard working. So if there are some math lessons here in Eureka that are kind of light, this is not one of them. This one's a hard working one. So that each of these should take you some time. Make sure you're doing them right. And look at where the number line goes from on some. This one is 3 and 6/10 to 3 and 9/10. If it helps you, go ahead and write a 0 there for each one of these. Express them in hundredths. And then my recommendation is, again, put all these into this form, decimals to the hundredths. And then it's a lot easier to place them on the number line. Same thing here. Look at that. Whoa. Just those first 3 questions are going to take you a while. They could take you 5 minutes each easily. And then look. Yeah, and this one is telling you put them into decimal form, but notice it is greatest to least using the greater than symbol. So you would say like 5 is greater than 4, is greater than 3, is greater than 2, is greater than 1. That's it. So you just write it as one long statement on this line. And again, and again. Yeah, this one's a little brutal, my friends. Then you have, and then that was the hard part there. Now when you get to the word problems, it's actually not quite as much work, you see, because here you only have 4 terms, and here you only have 3. Okay. Or sorry, you do have 4 on both of these, but you had 6 on the other ones. Hey, so it's a little bit easier. Exit ticket, same thing, but a little bit less of it. And of course, when you get to the homework, prithee, get thyself to homework time and follow along with me there as we walk through them all step by step. Well, look at what you have done. You've gone and completed another lesson time, so congratulations to you and your puppy too. I will see you again next time. It is once again lesson time.